about a parental relationship between father and son when we knew that Meghan hated her own dad so much that she had completely cut him out of her life.
Why is Harry making like all these games around his children, trying to be this, man that gets what he wants all the time?
Prince Harry may have believed he still had one card left to play, a request involving his children, a possible reunion with King Charles, and an ongoing security dispute seemed like it could finally force a breakthrough. But according to reports and growing royal commentary, the exact opposite happened. Instead of giving Harry the response many expected, King Charles reportedly stood firm. No special intervention, no public concession, no sign that the palace was willing to change course. And that decision may have left Harry facing one of the toughest moments of his post-royal life. What began as a discussion about bringing Archie and Lilibet to Britain has now grown into a much bigger debate involving family security and the future of Harry's relationship with the royal family. Critics claim Harry thought he still had leverage. Others argue he was simply trying to protect his family. Either way, the divide appears wider than ever, and behind all the headlines lies a far more emotional question. Has this family reached a point where reconciliation is slipping out of reach? Because what reportedly happened after Harry's latest request has royal watchers convinced that everything may have just changed.
Any negotiations around seeing your grandchildren? How absurd is that? And at the end of all of this, Dan, Harry is going to regret it so much.
He is now 100% trapped. I mean, he talked about it on that TV show, that he's the one that can't get away.
When are you going to learn, man, that it is completely inappropriate and unacceptable, and the king simply will not have it?
The latest controversy began with reports that Prince Harry was unwilling to bring his children to the United Kingdom without stronger security guarantees. Harry has long argued that the protection available to his family after stepping back from royal duties is not sufficient. This time, however, the debate became far more personal. According to media reports and royal commentators, without the security arrangements he wanted, visits involving Archie and Lilibet would remain difficult. Supporters viewed that as a safety concern, while critics argued that a family reunion was becoming tied to conditions the royal family could not meet. The controversy grew because King Charles was suddenly placed at the center of the discussion. Many expected him to help find a solution, yet reports suggested no breakthrough was coming. Instead, commentators claim Charles was refusing to involve himself in a dispute that falls under government and security authorities rather than the crown. If Harry expected the king to intervene, many observers believe he was left disappointed. And rather than bringing the two sides closer together, the request appeared to reveal just how far apart they still are. For months, many royal watchers believed some kind of compromise would eventually emerge. After all, this wasn't just another disagreement, it involved the king's grandchildren and a relationship that many hoped could still be repaired before more time slipped away. But according to growing commentary surrounding the situation, Charles has shown little interest in changing course. Reports suggest the king is determined not to interfere in decisions that fall outside his authority, even when those decisions directly affect members of his own family. To critics, that stance sent a powerful message. The palace would not be pressured into making exceptions, regardless of who was making the request. Supporters of the king's position argue that stepping in could create problems far beyond this single dispute. And for Harry, that reportedly meant facing a reality he may not have expected. But the refusal wasn't just about one request. Many observers believe it pointed to something much bigger happening behind the scenes. As the debate intensified, many commentators began focusing on what they believe is the real issue. In their view, the palace is thinking far beyond a single visit, one family reunion, or a temporary arrangement. Critics argue that any special concession could create long-term complications for the monarchy. What starts as an exception today could quickly become an expectation tomorrow. That's why some observers believe Charles and senior royal figures are determined to hold the line and avoid setting a precedent they may later regret. The situation becomes even more complicated when Prince William's future role is considered. Any decision made now could have consequences long after Charles's reign, potentially affecting how similar issues are handled for years to come. Whether that interpretation is correct or not, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. The standoff is no longer just about security. It has evolved into a much larger battle over principles, expectations, and how far either side is willing to go before someone finally gives ground. As the dispute continued, attention slowly shifted away from security and toward the people many believe are most affected by the situation. Archie and Lilibet. While public debate focused on royal politics and family tensions, growing numbers of commentators began asking a much simpler question. How much longer can this continue before valuable time is lost forever? The discussion has become increasingly emotional because the children remain at the center of a family divide that shows few signs of healing. Many observers have pointed out that childhood moves quickly. Birthdays pass, milestones come and go, and opportunities to build family bonds cannot be recreated later. For many royal watchers, that is what makes the situation so difficult to follow. Regardless of who people blame, the focus is increasingly shifting toward what the children may be missing, while the disagreement continues. And that question naturally leads to an even bigger one. The longer the standoff continues, the more commentators question whether this was ever just about a single trip to Britain. Critics argue that the disagreement may be part of a much larger battle involving long-term security arrangements and future protections. According to this theory, the real issue extends far beyond one family reunion. Instead, it centers on what security provisions should look like in the years ahead, and who should ultimately be responsible for them. Supporters of Harry reject that interpretation and maintain that his concerns have always been focused on safety. But the ongoing debate has fueled endless speculation about what is truly driving the impasse. Whatever the answer may be, the controversy has grown far beyond its original scope. What began as a discussion about seeing family has evolved into a public dispute that continues to generate headlines, criticism, and unanswered questions on both sides. While the dispute with King Charles continued to dominate headlines, Harry found himself facing growing scrutiny from multiple directions. Every new appearance, interview, and public project seemed to reignite debates about his relationship with the royal family and the choices he has made since stepping away from royal duties. Critics argued that Harry was struggling to move the conversation forward because the same questions kept resurfacing. Instead of focusing on future plans, much of the public discussion continued to revolve around family tensions, security disputes, and the ongoing divide between him and the monarchy. The result was a cycle that many observers believe became increasingly difficult to escape. Just as one controversy began to fade, another quickly took its place. And then an entirely different comparison started drawing attention online. At the same time Harry was facing renewed criticism, public attention began shifting toward David Beckham. Reports surrounding major sporting events and Beckham's growing influence sparked fresh comparisons that quickly spread across social media and royal commentary circles. For many observers, the contrast was impossible to ignore. Beckham appeared to be strengthening his global profile, while Harry remained caught in ongoing debates about family disputes and public perception. Whether fair or not, the comparison became another talking point in an already difficult period. Old rumors of tension between the two men also resurfaced, fueling even more discussion. While many of those claims remain unverified, they continue to attract attention whenever their names appear in the same headlines. The comparison may not have changed Harry's situation directly, but it added another layer to a narrative that was already becoming increasingly challenging. And for many royal watchers, the most important part of the story was still yet to come. Beyond the headlines, the criticism, and the endless speculation, many observers believe the most important issue is time. The ongoing discussion surrounding King Charles's health has added a sense of urgency that simply wasn't there a few years ago. For many royal watchers, this is no longer just a story about security arrangements or family disagreements. It's about opportunities that may not last forever. Every month that passes is another month without a clear resolution, another month without the kind of private family moments that can never be replaced or recreated later. That reality is why the situation continues to resonate with so many people. Regardless of where they stand on the dispute, many agree that time is one thing nobody can get back once it's gone. Family relationships can be repaired, misunderstandings can sometimes be resolved, but missed moments have a way of disappearing forever. And that growing sense of urgency brings the story to its biggest unanswered question. As things stand, there is still no clear sign of a breakthrough. The divide between Harry and the royal family appears as deep as ever, and neither side seems willing to change its position anytime soon. Many commentators believe the outcome of this dispute could shape family relationships for years to come. The longer the separation continues, the harder reconciliation may become. Meanwhile, Archie and Lilibet are growing up, and one day they may ask their own questions about the family tensions that dominated so many headlines throughout their childhood. That is why so many people remain fascinated by this story. Beneath the royal titles, media coverage, and public controversy lies something far more relatable. A family struggling to find its way back together despite years of distance, disagreements, and public fallout. Whether a reconciliation eventually happens remains impossible to predict. But after King Charles reportedly refused to give Harry the response he was hoping for, many royal watchers believe the future of this family relationship has become more uncertain than ever before. What makes this story so compelling isn't the royal titles, the security dispute, or even the endless headlines. It's the human element at the center of it all. A father and son who remain divided, grandchildren growing up far from their royal relatives, and a family that many once believed would eventually find a way to heal. Harry's latest request was reportedly intended to move the situation forward. Instead, many observers believe it revealed just how firmly King Charles is standing his ground. Whether that decision was necessary or a missed opportunity depends entirely on who you ask. What nobody can deny is that the stakes feel higher than ever. Time continues to move forward, relationships continue to evolve, and opportunities that exist today may not exist tomorrow. For now, the questions remain unanswered. Will Harry and King Charles eventually find common ground? Will the children get the chance to build closer relationships with their royal family? Or has this divide grown too deep to fully repair? One thing is certain. After King Charles reportedly shut down Harry's request, the future of this family saga became even more uncertain, and that's exactly why millions of people around the world continue to watch every new development so closely.